Hey, this is Jason. I live in San Diego County. It's the end of March, beginning of April 2023. And I want to talk a little bit about this passion fruit vine that I planted that I'm training to grow in a very specific way. And I got these passion fruit vines from a neighbor. He propagated them in a pot and he had a whole bunch left over. And I went down to his place and I brought my wheelbarrow and I brought back three. Two of them are still in pots. They're hanging on along the fence line closer to the house. But I had an idea for one of them, so I picked the one that I thought looked the best, that had the greatest chance of success here. And I put it in the ground right here, right next to my fence. And I just put some rocks around it to keep the soil from eroding away, because I definitely want to put water on here and keep these things nice and hydrated. But as I go up here, you'll see that either the bottom hasn't leafed out so much, or maybe my chickens have got at it, but anything down low is fair game for the chickens. They're allowed to eat that. That's their territory. Yeah, you can see that one stem right there. Chickens have definitely gotten at that one. And but if I come up, you'll see that I let the stem grow, and I didn't really want it to leaf out too much. I didn't want it to take over this fence, and I put some bamboo stakes in because I wanted to train it up and over, and I created this structure on the side of my shed that's cantilevered over, that goes 16 feet across. And it has four supports that are supported by not just the walls of the shed, but also 2x4s that are nailed into the studs on the inside. So this is nice and solid. It's not going anywhere. I did some pull-ups on those cantilevered parts, and it didn't even budge. And so then I strung some hand railings, or some railing pieces. I think those are 2x2s across the top. I put my fencing across the top to give the passion fruit something to climb onto. And my passion fruit is now reaching the top of this trellis that I created. And I expect that when once winter ends and summer comes and the sun is out and the passion fruit loves the heat, once that happens, this passion fruit vine is going to absolutely explode, and possibly even by the end of the year completely take over this entire upper portion and create a passion fruit tunnel. Now, as I cycle back around here, you'll see what I'm going for here. This is what I consider to be my service entry. This is the butler's entry, if you will, that I wouldn't necessarily bring guests through, but this is where I can bring wheelbarrows through and things like that. There's no stairs, so it's a slope that makes wheelbarrowing real easy. So I wanted to create some shade for my shed. A portion of that shed is used as a chicken coop, and so it gets pretty toasty in the summer. And so I thought, if I create a living roof, not necessarily on the roof, but a living cantilevered roof, that would help shade out the windows. I've got some pepper trees up top here that will eventually grow in and cover the roof itself, but while I'm waiting for that to happen, I have my passion fruit that I'm growing on this trellis. Additionally, and I'll do another video on how I got here, but I have 4 Asian pear trees that were growing in this tiered planter. We built the tiered walls last fall. This was a sloped yard, and the slope we couldn't really do a whole lot with it. The kids weren't playing on it. We couldn't build anything on it. And anytime you watered, it would just run right down the hill. So it wasn't working for us. So we built this tiered system here. We also leveled out the ground for this shed that I'll talk more about later on. But when I was choosing which trees to plant in this tiered garden, I wanted something that would grow upright, and it would provide some shelter and shade for the chicken coop. And so these Asian pear trees in general, they have an upright growth to them. They stay somewhat compact, at least in their early years, and they grow upright. And these Asian pear trees are on the east side of the yard. So as the sun rises up over the neighbor's yard, over those trees in the background, they just cook this shed. And so in a year or two, once these Asian pear trees have grown in a little bit more, they're going to cast some shadow and some shade onto our shed and chicken coop. So I'll talk more about my Asian pears in a little bit, but these are in the ground. They are growing. This has already doubled in size, and it's only March, so that one's looking really good. This one here is also doing really well. The one down at the far end has not leafed out yet. That one I bought from a different nursery. Fingers crossed it's going to make it. That's my Hasui down at the end. Still waiting for that to wake up. But my passion fruit and my Asian pears are working together to accomplish this goal of creating this living tunnel here. Again, I considered this to be sort of a back entry to my orchard, but it's slowly becoming the focal point. And if I keep dressing it up over here, I'm going to want to come in this way and bring people in this way all the time. I was thinking about putting geraniums down here and irrigating down here along the gravel pad so that I can kind of soften up those edges a little bit and bring some color because it's a raised shed on a gravel pad. So I had spent so much time planning and building and thinking out my main entrance, which was right in the middle. I centered it right on my Valencia orange tree. That Valencia, when it's fruiting or even when it's flowering, it's so pretty. And so I thought putting the entrance right in front of that Valencia would be the best move. And it still is. I'm still glad I did that. But slowly, as I continue working over here on my Asian pears and on my passion fruit, I'm slowly starting to think that maybe this is the main entrance. Additionally, for my birthday back in the fall, my wife had this sign made for us. We call our orchard Fletchered Farm. And we're not really a farm, but we do have chickens and we do have dogs. And so that's what we have in the sign. And Fletcher Farm is just a fun way to call this little space back here something unique. So that's our passion fruit. There are other passion fruits that I want to grow. This is the Frederick variety, which is fairly common as far as passion fruits are concerned. There are some others that I'm interested in acquiring and trying. But for right now, in addition to getting some delicious fruit, this passion fruit is going to serve another purpose and grow in and create a nice little canopy for our entrance.